Okay. Well, I've just seen The Star Beast, the first of 3 60th anniversary specials for Doctor Who, starring David Tennant and Catherine Tate. Okay, so my initial expectations were I wasn't really keen for let's say, the hokiness or the over-dramatization that I think that I would describe series 4 and the specials of Doctor Who at the time. Very dated, I think, looking back. I was a bit, and I gotta say, when the preliminary thing, the catching the audience up with, remember Doctor and Donna? Remember the Dr. Donna? That had me grimacing a little bit internally. However, that's my inner child throwing a bit of a tanty, really. Because, first of all, those opening credits, really cool. I'm really glad I waited to watch this episode with my parents, which I did, by the way. I waited. I've been sitting on it, and I've been watching Series 5, Matt Smith's first season 31. So to stave off, I've been watching that to stave off, I think, and to also get me into what I sort of saw as the bringing back of epic Doctor Who, which is what Russell T Davies, sort of brought to the show when it came back in 2005, especially through David Tennant, and certainly what Moffat continued the trend of through to 2017. Anyway, Series 5, huge nostalgia. I remember watching it in 2009. It's like the first TV show I ever legally downloaded by myself. But yeah, I remember it fondly. And anyway, I've been revisiting that to sort of get myself into the zone of excitement for the scope and the scale and the epic tone of new Doctor Who that I admire so much. And so this episode, I felt, was rather brilliant. While I feel like it quickly had jettisoned off any amount of it docking with the previous episode, I'm not... Again, I'm, inner child, chucking a bit of a tanty, but, taking into account the fact that this is a revitalization of the show. This is another boot with a re in front of it, and the prefix, not the scream. So yeah, look, I was a bit. But the thing is it really is a new slate, and it's going to bring back. It's going to be a welcome thing, I guess. Like a very it's going to transport a lot of people who did stop watching, back to, I think, like the heyday of the golden age of of New Who, which was definitely from 2006 to 2009. Like Doctor Who was huge, and 2010 and 11. But David Tennant. Kudos, right? Anyway, yeah. And another thing, like when it comes to like lore and being attached to the larger scope and scale of the nostalgia of Doctor Who across the many decades of its existence, I did feel at the time of The Power of the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker's last episode, that for fans like myself, we really got treated like teachers' pets by Jodie Whittaker's era, I feel, with all kinds of very subtle nods and improved cinematography and production standards, etc., and deep canon dives. So I can't have too much of an inner tantrum, can I? Because I got really rewarded. You know, the 60th, we got a bit of a 59th anniversary special last year with Power of the Doctor. You know what I mean? So, you know, whatever happens in the next 2 episodes and the Christmas special, you know, my dad's playing fetch with the dog. I got my fan service fix through Jodie Whittaker's years. So, you know, and a big problem with, let's call, you know, fandom culture in general, especially with something like Doctor Who, is getting way too worked up and precious about how the current thing no longer stacks up to the projections based on your memories and nostalgia of the thing that you liked when it first hooked you, you know? And Doctor Who's something like, I started watching it when I was 3, and so I got introduced to its fluctuations over time, and you know, I feel like if it weren't for Doctor Who and the way that it delves with insane amounts of changes, and the fact that it hooked me at such an age, you know, like I wouldn't be the person I am without a show that has lasted the ages and is able to have so much scope and scale, and is also, you know, well, was until you know, last year wholly publicly funded in its production, besides a few, you know, things, but it's been a major inspiration for me. Anyway, I digress. The 60th anniversary special kicks right off with the Doctor landing in London and running into Donna Noble, and the adventure ensues. I loved it. The way that it brought back the nostalgia of 2008 and the sort of homeliness that was such a large part of the tone of Russell T Davies' era, all throughout, you know, that real, like, the camera of Doctor Who is now inside the home of people who have consistent lives, etc., and time marches on with them as it does with us. I think that, you know, that is something that genuinely Russell T Davies gave to the show that it wasn't in it before that point, you know. So it's great to see that, but, you know, now with, you know, improved production design and the funding and energy not being diverted to so many other disparate projects, and the technology not being as limited as it was in 2005 to 2009 or 10, when it was the Phil Collinson and I forget her name, the producer, and Russell T Davies, but, you know, back then. So that was cool, but also the subtlety of the storytelling. I'm not going to say writing because I haven't read the script, and that's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, so I better not be a hypocrite. The storytelling, I felt, was more subtle, whereas, you know, I suppose the attention spans of people watching Doctor Who in 2008 and 9, when, you know, Donna Noble was the thing, and the Doctor, things have changed, and audiences' tastes have changed. Now you can have a lot of weird, wacky characters. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014. 15 years has passed since 2008 and 9 and 10, and, you know, so audiences have adjusted. You know, people watch Stranger Things all the friggin' time now. People are okay with weird, so it was cool seeing Doctor Who with a huge budget, with the heartstring pulls, with the humanity that Russell T Davies gives it, and also a huge budget and a shameless sprinkling of fun, whimsy, sci-fi, fantasy style, just oozing with everything. It was like seeing, I guess, what I've wanted to see out of David Tennant for a long time. I genuinely did love David Tennant, but I grew to, as I was a teenager, be petulant about it. Because I was upset about about Doctor Who changing into a romantic who got sad and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I really loved this. I really loved seeing David Tennant as the Doctor again. I really love everything that's happening with all of it. The story was great adaptation of a comic book that I've read. Hope everyone was surprised and horrified by the reveal, the switcheroo. It's great to see Dave Gibbons' art come to life. This is a very awesome thing, and it honestly was so cinematic. Watching it on Mum and Dad's big TV in 1080p, it was pretty cool. And I gotta say, it was the production value. Like, it was huge. The animatronic puppet with, state-of-the-art CG and nice costumes and locations and special effects and, gorgeous cameras with, nice lenses and things instead of the potato that they were filming on up until 2009 when they finally shot Doctor Who in 1080p. I remember those years. Another reason why Series 5 was my favourite was the first season of Doctor Who to be in HD ever. So that, yeah. No, what a fun time. And the TARDIS. There's a few things that I'm just enjoying, and the opening credits, I do enjoy them, and I certainly love the music. I hope that it's just the anniversary credits, and maybe we'll get new intros each episode. I don't know what the budget is anyway. Point is, I'm just enjoying it, and I'm gonna, again, not be a hypocrite and not criticize something that I don't know anything about. There's hardly any behind the scenes information about this stuff, so let's just give it the commentary we can, eh? So, yeah, great fun. I dressed up, and what a magical story. One thing that I certainly criticized the latter years of the epic version of Doctor Who, as I classify it, epic Doctor Who, where the Doctor's a hero with trumpets blaring and stuff. Which, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, love them all, and even elements of Christopher Eccleston and Jodie Whittaker. However, people know what I mean, right? Like, they're Matt Smith and David Tennant and Peter Capaldi are the Doctors that had bump 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 bum 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 bum, or I'm the Doctor. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, wow. What a special. I quite love this. And I'm glad that I've grown as a person, because I think it was when Series 11 dropped, Jodie Whittaker's first season, that I became aware of the fact that I needed to stop having expectations for things and just take them as they are. Fiction and then, and life in general. Because, like I'm sure most viewers, when Series 11 first came out in 2018, it was quite the change of pace from the last, however many years that preceded it. A lot, like 15 years or something, 13, 12, I don't know. But yeah, it's just yeah, I got distracted there. Yeah, wow, what a time to be alive, hey. I think, yeah, that's right. The thing with, like, expectations is learn to try and, like, I had to learn to accept what was being put my way. And when I had that, I started to enjoy Series 11 as, this sort of really scaled back ode to classic episodic sci-fi. Like, it really was great. And it did, I think, brush up wrong with certainly really vocal members of the community and community. Certain Doctor Who fans. And but it also, I think it, while it was not hated, it wasn't the favourite of many popular Doctor Who, YouTubers and influencers and stuff who had risen to any kind of semi-online popularity during the height of New Who. When it was all dun 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 dun, that's fair, that's what you grew up with. I grew up with classic Doctor Who on VHS and DVD that I could get from the library or get off of my siblings and family, and eventually reruns that were on during the 40th anniversary when I was a child. Well, a few, 40th anniversary a couple of years before. I remember being at my grandparents' house in the indoor garage, and my sibling turning to me and saying that, did you hear that they're bringing Doctor Who back? And I remember going, is it going to be the 8th Doctor? No, it's not the 8th Doctor, it's going to be someone else. And we went, oh, that's rubbish. That's rubbish, how can they do that? That's breaking the rules. Now it's, it's 2023 now, and I don't think Doctor Who's got a rule left to break. But it's good, because it's a show about an alien in a police box that's bigger on the inside than the outside. You feel like, you may be being a bit too self-serious after a while if you get upset about things, innit?
Vegan burgers or sausages?
Sausages, please.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. So, and I can pull up clips of me getting red-faced about all kinds of things that happened in the show, especially between, 2011 and 2016. Probably my horror era. I didn't mind season 10, especially because I knew Moffat was on his way out. The petulant child in me cannot fucking stand a good man goes to war and afterwards. For me, that is such a diversion of interest. It really does. It sort of emulates the 5th Doctor's era in that, I was kind of interested the start when, the reruns hit, but one, could not compare to Tom Baker. Sorry, Davison. I was just a kid. But, we'd all had so many episodes of Baker, got used to that very consistent flavour, and then you come along, and then tastes are changing, and then they try and make Doctor Who a bit more, continuity and drama and stuff. If it does work, great. If it doesn't hook people, you're like, ugh, yeah. Anyway, sorry. It's all in the past, right? You guys have got mad royalties and stuff. Don't criticize me. No. Look, it's just, again, my petulant child. The wherewithal that any person must have in order to be any kind of public figure, especially with cantankerous, fucking pedantic fans like Whovians. Oh, God. Hats off, tears. Anyway. This anniversary special made me very, very happy. And the fact that it touched on gender of all things. As I was going to say before, one thing that I didn't like about, let's say, Dad's trying to tell Mum that he's already taking the bins out and it's hard to hear. Anyway, point is, one problem I especially had with the end of Time is that I just didn't feel like it was about anything other than like surface value. Like really, and I stick by that, and it's fine. Like it's a really surface value, fun adventure. There's some sweetness, I suppose, but I don't find much relevance in it. And I get it, it was it was a big farewell. They'd done their thing. You're allowed, as an artist, you're allowed to have fun and go up your own arse sometimes, Anyway, the point is, I felt as though this episode was about something, and it was about something that Doctor Who could do, and it means a lot to me as someone who thought that they were insulted when I'm being personally victimised when Doctor Who went woke and cast a woman. But then through that show, being one of very few shows that managed to do that kind of thing with respect and subtlety and nuance, it laid the path for people like myself, and there's a few of us, who were finally allowed to see themselves in a different light. Because the Doctor could just be a woman. Because Doctor Who is an alien from another planet who can travel around in space and time, whose spaceship is bigger on the inside than the outside. Five dimensions. That's not very binary, is it? So it was massive, and it will be massive, and it probably win a BAFTA or something, wouldn't it? What a magical episode of television. But I will say it is a shame that people are not able to access it for free as they once were able to. But people find a way to do stuff and see things that have been made inaccessible to them because of money, and location, and sure, Doctor Who wouldn't mind. After all, they stole a police box, right? Anyway, those are my initial thoughts. I'm keen to watch this episode many times over. What a rip-roaring, fantastic episode. Doctor Who's back, baby, and whoa, with a big budget, and hopefully it tells more stories like this. Because honestly, we need more stories like this. Doctor Who was brought into existence by a producer and a director. Their names were Verity Lambert and Waris Hussein, Jewish woman, and queer Indian man, who I believe is Muslim. The first ever female producer for the BBC made this show. And the first ever serial was about two school teachers making sure that a child who wasn't doing well in school, was having struggling grades but seemed to be smart, who took interest and care for that child, followed her to the junkyard where she supposedly lived at, discovered that she lived in a ship, in a vehicle with her grandfather, and they both escaped their world because of danger, and they were in exile. And then they go off to consult Neolithic humans about making sure that they don't create a fascist cult around fire and destruction. And then the second serial is about them going to a planet that's been devastated by neutronic war, where there's some cyborgy baddies covered in balls, a whisk and a plunger who talk about racial purity. So for those of you... So one can see... I'm restraining myself. So one can see that Doctor Who has always been a show about big ideas, and standing up and standing out for imagination and difference and adventure and passion and love. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's a bit naff and a bit rubbish, and sometimes it's just about the Doctor being a kooky old man with a cup of tea in a space wheelchair. And that's fine too, because there's honestly so much more going on in the world that one can't get mad about it. One should just enjoy it, have fun. Try and, if you are going to say something about it, try to say something nice. Try contain that inner critic of yourself that makes you want to say, of course he's bad. Why couldn't I get my doctor and my master and stuff? And there's that part of me. We're all human, right? But what I'm saying is, wow, what a cool episode of Doctor Who. My doctor. My dad is polishing my car windshield right now. He's kind and generous. So I should go and be with my family a bit. Or I should stop this. I appreciate it. I do. Dad, you're really cool. Thank you. Alright. Anyway, that's my review of the Star Beast. Alright, well, until